Start. All right, we are recording. We started. There's people coming in from the waiting room. Hey, everybody. Nice to meet you. You all probably know Lisa, but you don't know me. I'm Jeremiah, and we're going to give people a couple minutes to get started. Really excited to share with you today what Lisa's done with her team at SCW or South Central Wisconsin
Yes.
MLS, and then I'm going to butcher the other one. Give me the other acronym.
It's Raskow. Yes, we are
Yes,
the Realtor Association of South Central, proudly representing Madison. Yeah.
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yes.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for doing this. The goal of the hour is to provide value for other associations and association executives that are considering adopting AI. I think when we first met, you were kind of on a path trying to figure out AI stuff. And then we got introduced at Inman in New York in January of this year, talked for a few months, and now you all have been a user of our product for a few months. And so we'll share all that with everybody that's here. But for those of you that are here, that you're joining in the chat, this will be interactive. So do me a favor, pop open the chat, say hey, let us know that you're here, that we can hear from you, because sometimes we don't configure this thing right to where people can chat. Let's see, chat settings. Hey, there we go. Okay, perfect. People can chat. That's great. All right. Lisa, you ready? I'm ready.
I'm ready, dear.
All right, we're going. And this is being recorded. We'll send it out after. So if you feel like you want a copy or there's people you want to share it with, know that it will get sent out. So my name is Jeremiah Taylor. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called BrokerBot. BrokerBot provides an artificial intelligence platform specifically for the U.S. residential real estate industry. And this is my friend, Lisa Marshall. Lisa, I will let you do your intro.
Absolutely. I'm Lisa Marshall, CEO for Raskow and South Central Wisconsin MLS.
And the other thing that I have learned about Lisa is a leader that takes action. And I think from somebody who's talked to a number of association executives, it's really cool to see somebody that just kind of like takes action and drives. And I think that's why you've been so successful as the CEO of your association. Everybody that I talk to just absolutely loves you. Your team loves you. They believe in you. And it takes a little bit of vision and a little bit of daring to do things different in this world that we're in today. And I love that you're just not scared of that stuff. And I hope people appreciate that, because that's a unique skill, especially in your role.
It is. I keep my board on their toes. But you know what? They hired me to be a visionary and to take big chances. And as long as they're still up for it, I'm still going. So it's been awesome doing this.
That's amazing. That's way amazing. So for those that aren't fully familiar with Raskow or SCW MLS, talk about like member count, the geographic area that you all support, because it's not small, and like just help them familiarize with you all, what you do and how it works.
Okay, so Raskow has 3,600 members and our MLS has 4,200. So we actually cover 21 counties. It's basically, look at the bottom half of the Wisconsin map, and that's us. What's really awesome about that makeup is that we're touching so many agents and so many consumers, and consumers who just want to interact with our agents or who have questions about what are we doing, who is Raskow. And what we've realized is we needed to be more available. We needed to be a resource, and it needed to always be able to take it to that next step. So BrokerBot really closed that gap for us on where we could be with our service and where we wanted to be where our service is.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk AI in general, because you had a thesis when we first met at Inman in New York of how
Yeah.
you were going to use artificial intelligence, and I know you were working on building it out in ChatGPT. So do some bring along to help people understand, like, what was your original idea, what worked and what didn't.
Okay, so this is being recorded, so I hope my staff never watches this. But my big vision was that I wanted to build out an AI customer support for our members. and I wanted it to be 24/7. So our hours of operation is 9 a.m. to 5. And anyone who knows working with an agent, you actually need to be 24/7, right? They're working at 1 a.m., 3 a.m., 11 p.m. It doesn't matter, but they have questions and we're not there. And so it started as a let me see if I could do this with ChatGPT, and it was hard. It was incredibly hard. I mean, the problem with ChatGPT is when one of my staff members would put a question in there, it was pulling information from different MLSs all over the country. It wasn't specific to us and our rules, our definitions, what our fees were. So we kept hitting a roadblock. And then there was a night in New York where I met you guys at Inman. Yes, when people say conferences are valuable, they are. And you have to walk the trade show floor so you can meet everyone and really follow up. Like I am a person where it's like when I hear it and I see it, I'm going to immediately be like, let's talk next week and actually talk to you guys next week. And I heard the vision of it and I said, that's exactly what we need. I wanted us to be nimble enough to meet our members where they are at whatever time or day they are at. And we're doing it.
Yep. And so for the folks on here that don't know what we do, we have built a business out of building a platform that is fully compliance aware. We take advantage of the leading AI models that are available, and we help build a custom assistant for brokers, associations, MLSs. And that assistant can be made available across every channel: email, phone calls, text messages, website chat widget, etc. Now, you all started just with the chat widget. You
Yeah.
started doing some testing there, and I'm going to bait our audience a little bit here. We launched together. I think it's been, and this is probably something I should have looked at, is like, when did we actually start this project together?
Yeah.
Do you remember the date off the top of your head when we first
We
started
started in
this?
April. Yeah, we started in April and it took a life of its own because what I thought I wanted, it became even bigger by the time
Yeah.
that we finished. So the evolution of what started in April and what actually launched 60 days later was like, yeah, this is even better than what I imagined.
Yeah, I love to hear that. And we put it in production. I'm looking at our logs. It looks like we put it in production on the website, kind of like as a quiet launch around May
Yes.
1st. And
Yes.
then you fully announced that launch. You'll know the date.
It was actually mid-June is when we fully launched it. So we did, and this was the brainchild behind it and how it worked so well is that I wanted my staff to become incredibly comfortable with BrokerBot. I wanted BrokerBot to be an extension of their supervisor or myself. No matter if you were a person who just started on your first day or you've been with us for 7 years, you had an immediate resource that was looking at our library of knowledge, not anywhere else, to help you be successful to service an agent and service someone who's inquiring about membership. And now we're able to do that. It has been a game changer for how my staff is supported. So I spent a lot of time, and it seems like, oh my gosh, you took so much time in implementation, but no, that was intentional because I wanted my
Yeah.
staff to gravitate to it first.
Yeah. And so we started there. We launched in June. And so here's my teaser: is since we launched this fully live, you've had 112 of your members interact with BrokerBot, and those 112 members have traded a total of 2,067 messages in like just a little bit over 2 months. It hasn't even been two full, like in my brain, I'm like, oh, June was forever ago. Well, it's August. It hasn't even been 2 full months that we've been live. So that's 2,000 messages that your leadership team and staff didn't have to answer in 2 months on a member base of 4,200 people. Um, I think that's pretty incredible. I
It is.
have no, do you have a concept of what your like inbound volume is from members before and
So
after?
I actually do have that. And that's why my team, hopefully they're not watching, is they're doing more actual project based work. So our call volume has dropped over 23% actually in the last 30 days. So June was actually a little bit slower because we had to send out reminders and flyers and newsletters, and really it was a slow build. But what I actually forecast between now and the end of the year is that our call volume is going to significantly drop. What BrokerBot does is that it meets our agents where they are. They can text, they can send an email, there's an immediate response, they can go to the website. We meet them where they are instead of them trying to meet us between 9 and 5. And
Yeah.
that's been the big game changer. So now my staff is doing a lot more elevated projects. Shout out to my team. We just finished our 40 under 40 event yesterday. So it's been crazy, just the momentum and capacity they all have.
That's amazing. I'm going to talk about after hours for a minute. I pulled more stats from when you and I talked earlier. 48% of your voice conversations, because you can call and talk to BrokerBot over the phone, happen before 9 a.m. or after 5 p.m. 20.8% of your web chat conversations are after hours, and 25% of SMS are after hours. I don't think you all have launched email yet as a channel. I think you just have phone and web chat. I pulled some more stats too. You have 43 messages, or 43 threads rather, have happened between 9 and 10 p.m. Central Time. And the 30 more sessions have happened between 8 and 9. So you have like almost 100 sessions happening generally between 6 and 10 p.m. Central Time, when y'all are closed. And thematically, what people are asking about are like Paragon and MLS listing input, status change rules, delayed listings, DOM rules. How do I get my listing to display on Zillow? What are the rules about virtual staging, active versus delayed? There's some great questions in here about membership and orientation, new member processes, CE credit, joining committees. All the things that your staff has likely answered a million times. But the thing, like, I've sold real estate for 25 years. I'm right now looking at chat that happened at 9:06 p.m. on Friday. That's from a member that says, what do I do if my listing isn't showing up on Zillow? And it walked them step by step through what to do at 9 p.m. on a Friday night to get their listing to show up on Zillow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I have to honestly tell you, I knew there was a huge gap with our members, and I knew that I wanted to elevate our service. And that was really the driving force. What Raskow and South Central has done, and I think it's so innovative because I think more and more associations need to adopt this model, is like our hours of operation have to mimic where our members are. Our members are working in the evening or early mornings. They're handling something sporadically over the weekend. We're not there. And now we are. And this
Yeah.
extension of our service, like that is awesome that someone on a Friday was like, I have an angry seller who's like, where's this listing? Because of course they want it on this third party site. And there's no one on staff to help them. But now there is, step by step. And so I saw that way back. I'll be honest, the board and I were really strategic about we're going to be innovators in the space. And it's been awesome to partner with you guys because we're doing exactly what we say we will be doing, which is innovating. We're leading. And I think that
Yeah.
that just has been one of the biggest game changers for us.
Yeah, I love that. Now, on our prep call 2 hours ago, you shared something that was really unexpected for me. Um, when we launch for a brokerage, a lot of what we see is the same thing that you see. Like, agents love it, they're doing stuff and they're doing it. But what we observe in the brokerage is that the internal leadership team really starts to use BrokerBot. And by the way, like, people white label this. I know you all internally to your team call it BrokerBot, or you call it BB,
Yes.
right?
We call it BB. Yes.
Okay. On your public facing site, it is SCWMLS AI, and that's how it interacts with people. So it's as far as your members are concerned, it's your product, not ours.
Yes.
And I think that's an important distinction because that's how you help drive member value, right? But under the hood, BrokerBot can, for your leadership team, it can connect to their email, their calendar, your CRM, about like Google Drive, YouTube, a bunch of other tools for them. And so what you shared with me is that this has been like revolutionary for you for onboarding new staff. And I didn't expect that. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest challenges as an association executive is that you're hiring staff and they all have different learning capabilities, right? They all learn differently. They all need support differently. And what I've learned through BB, our broker bot, is brokerbot meets you where you are, right? So I have a staff member who just started and they love step by step. And I have a staff member who's like, hey, don't give me step by step, just show me where the resource is. I want to read through it myself. Brokerbot will give you that answer tailored to how you want to receive it. And that's been a huge game changer because it's incredibly intimidating when you're a new hire and you're like, I'm on the phone with someone, they're upset, and I don't even know where to start. And now they know exactly where to start. Like every single interaction with our members starts with BrokerBot. And what
Yeah.
that's also done for us, especially for my leadership team, is now we have consistency in every answer we give our members. There isn't like, hey, I talked to this person on Tuesday and they said X, and then I talked to this person on Thursday. We all start at our well of truth, which is BB for us, which is like, hey, we are consistently giving the same answer to each and every member. And that's also allowed for us to deliver better service.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, I have two things. I want to give a number, which I haven't given you this number. And then I want to ask you a question about like, does this feel impersonal? But let me give you the number. So you told me this, and I went and pulled logs. Um, we first get handed this off to you May 1st. We put it in production on June 15th. So it's been, call it 45 days since it's been properly in production. When we look at the amount of time that your staff has saved with the product since May 1st, it's 141 hours of time. And now how many people are on your staff or leadership team today? I feel
Three
like y'all aren't
leadership. So a
huge.
total of nine. Yeah. We're a lean, mean
Yeah.
machine. So those hours have definitely been reinvested. I will tell you,
Yeah.
I feel like I've gotten my time back
Now,
selfishly.
here's what's crazy. In the last 30 days, so it's 141 over like whatever May to now is like almost 4 months. In the
Yes.
last 31 days, that was 62 hours in the last 31 days. 44 of those hours are actually your leadership team and staff working in the tool themselves. I did not expect this. 19 hours of the time they saved is what we would call like I'm trying to think of a better word than deflection, but it's like where we're able to solve the problem for the member and they're not having to come to you. So it's really interesting to me that 2/3 of the value that you're getting is actually internal efficiency.
Yes.
Because what I would have thought is like the majority of the value we're creating for you is that the member is able to get what they need without talking to you. But that's a third of the value. 2/3 of the value is your internal team using our thing that looks and feels like Claude Cowork to do their work more efficiently.
Yes. So let me tell you the when I first found you all, I think I got on a call with you and I said, can you replace my entire team? Right. And I was joking because what I wanted to do was I wanted to get my staff out of the weeds. I have so many talented individuals who can do so many great things, but the day to day in the weeds, hey, this member needs another form, or wait, there's this question. It was tying up our bandwidth. Now we are literally floating and I can see it. I can see it from our events. I can see it from our engagement and our response time. And what it's also done is for my leadership team, it's instead of them having to handhold every single person, we have an immediate resource. And I think that's what adds so much value to my staff is like before there was no resource. There was no one to say, hey, where do I go to find this? It was like, well, go over to that website. Okay, three
Yeah.
boxes down, click to the left, scroll halfway through the page. Like now you know immediately where this is. And so I only foresee us getting more of our time back. And that time is just reinvested back
Yeah.
into our members. And I will be honest with you, something that I think every association executive and MLS executive is doing right now as we plan for membership changes is making sure that you run a really lean and an efficient team. And I believe we are absolutely doing that.
Yeah. And I think the thing, and you told me I could share whatever I want, so I'm taking license of that. The thing that I notice, and for those of you that are listening, you could do this in Claude Cowork, you could do this in Perplexity Computer, you could do it in ours. There's a couple of the team members on Lisa's team that what they figured out is that the member reaches out and that member has a question, and that question could be answered by a resource that's already been published. Shocker. Um, but the member just wants the answer, right? They don't want to have to go hunt for it. So what the playbook y'all are using is like, hey, BrokerBot, can you show me where I get the answer to this? And then we go and we say, okay, it's in this document or it's on this place on your website. And then your team just says, great, can you email that to the member for me? And because we're connected to their email, we are finding the resource, putting together the email and sending it through your team's email, human in the loop. So they're reviewing it and saying go. But like just it's a bunch of these like 3 to 5 minute time sucks that are getting compressed to seconds
Yes.
that are giving them time back. And I think I really underestimated the like internal knowledge share because I just assume everybody at the association is really smart and knows what's going on. Um, but it turns out that like y'all are just like every other business that you have
Yes.
employees that are newer that need to be trained. Uh, so that's really cool. That's super cool to learn. How I'm going to stay on this thread for a second. How is your team leveraging the time back? Because I hear that a lot from brokers. Like I'll ask, hey, if you got an extra 10 hours a week per person, like what would you do with the time? And they actually haven't really thought about that very much. So what are you doing with the time? How are your people using it?
Okay, so let me start with something that I'm incredibly proud of is when someone says you can have 10 hours of each one of your staff member, I never have a hesitation on what they could be doing. So I will be honest, we have some amazing things in the works. Between now and the end of the year, we're planning on launching 5 new MLS tools for our members. And actually, the first one goes into soft launch actually next Tuesday, which is Property Shield. So that is because we've gotten our time back. Like, I am no longer worried that, the same question we've gotten 8 times this week is weighing down my staff. Now it's like, it's completely automated. Here's the resource. Here's where you find it. Hey, and I think what that's done for them is make them be more engaged in their work because sometimes the mediocre type of items, the remedial things that you do every day that weighs you down, and it also contributes to burnout. I've noticed a sense of excitement with my staff because they're doing the work that they're excited for, right? If you're a marketing person who's been liaisoning in the customer service area to help us, now you're like, I am leaning fully into marketing. If you handle our events, you are leaning into that. And I am so proud to see their excitement because it's only adding more value and our members can feel it. I mean, yesterday I was
That's
at an
cool.
event with my staff and you can feel the energy in the room. Like our members are like, this is awesome. And when I call there, everyone sounds
Yeah.
excited. Exactly, because we only had 4 calls this week. Thank you for using BrokerBot.
Yeah.
So it's been
That's
huge.
cool. Are you using and I shouldn't ask questions I don't know the answer to, but I'm going to. Are you all using BrokerBot to produce some of those marketing materials through with our image gen tools or not yet?
Not yet. No, we haven't dabbled into that space yet. I think
Okay.
we're so happy. Like my staff loves this is like the biggest game changer, right? So when we have someone who's like, "Hey, I think I'm right about this," right? And 99% of the time they are. But that 1% where they're like, that point
Yeah.
one, my team loves to be able to go to BrokerBot and say, point to exactly where on the website and where in our rules that you actually need to follow it this way. And that, I mean, I cannot tell you enough the page flipping that we have been saving.
Yeah,
Huge.
that's amazing. Well, we it sounds like we need to do a training session for your team on marketing because we have
Right.
built some really cool new tools so that we can take all your like logo assets and everything and hold them in a folder only for your internal team to use. And they can now come to BrokerBot and say, like, hey, for our 40 under 40 event, I need you to help me come up with some designs for our social posts and for our flyers. And we'll just generate them for you and stick your logo right on them. And then if they're not perfect, because AI often is not perfect, you can now integrate with Canva, even the free version, and just say like, now put this in Canva, and you can finish it up there. And so I'll bet you there's like another day that we can give somebody back in your crew.
I see so much time coming back. I see so
Yeah,
much in the horizon. Yes.
I love that. I love that. Um, One of the other things that you told me about is just like change management in general, like because there's a lot happening, and I think this cuts two ways. One is like the data that you have inside of BrokerBot is what it's going to serve, and that's like what we do, right? We build a closed loop AI assistant that can serve just your stuff. That means somebody's got to keep it in sync, and that means that the data matters. So how high is that bar? Is that a heavy tax for you all to have to keep it in sync, and then or has it been helpful with that change management?
It's been incredibly helpful. I will be honest with you. I think if anyone goes and implements BrokerBot, which I highly recommend all association executives do, something that I would say is spend that first month, month and a half with your team, because then you don't have to do the heavy lifting on the back end. And that's why for us, it's just a part of our workflow. Going into our library, making sure our assets are updated. And what was great about our implementation process is it actually challenged us to go through every single asset, every single resource form. I mean, through this process, I will be honest, over the last 60 days, we've rolled out new change forms, new authorization forms, office change, because it made us look at everything and question it from the lens of, is this the best presentation? Is this the best way to communicate this? And now when someone reaches out and they say, how do I join as an affiliate? It's a 1, 2, 3 process versus before it may have been 12 unnecessary steps. So I think that anyone who does the implementation, always start with your staff and then do that internal audit, right? Of your forms, of your website, of your library, your bylaws, your procedures, and make sure that it's the best representation of the organization.
And we've had some other associations that have talked to us about this, that they don't have the resources to be able to go through and do that. And so we actually built an AI agent now that will do that for you. And so we can crawl your association resources and play back to you like, here's the things that look duplicative, here's what looks out of date, you may want to revisit these. And that's been really helpful. And I was actually surprised the number of associations that, like, if I said, can you give me a machine readable output of your website? They're like, no, like it's just on the internet and the web guy can't export it for you. So there's like, don't feel scared of that. Those are things we can help with. And if you're going to go do this on your own with Claude or whatever, I think that's a great learning that it's garbage in, garbage out. And so you got to make sure that you take that cleanup step first. Um, Part of what we built and we learned through this process with you is that nothing is static, right? And so we need to be able to listen to NAR and national policy changes. We need to be able to listen to what you're doing at your local level and read your website. And I feel like we've done a pretty good job being able to point BrokerBot at live assets so that you just update the things you would normally update, and we can learn from those without you having to also update us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the live time read from our website has been awesome because as we, especially in the state of Wisconsin, we're getting ready to do a lot of state level changes. And our website's going to go through a lot of updating, and we don't have to worry about it. BrokerBot is reading that in real time and
Yeah.
relaying back the correct information. So I can make an update today, and BrokerBot will immediately know that there's a change and give you the correct information.
Yeah.
We,
Yeah.
it's just awesome.
I just looked at your stats. In the last 4 weeks, we've done 244 messages that involved a live lookup of your website. So like it is working that you are keeping the stuff up to date and we're passing that back to your members. Um, I want to go back to a thought that I had a little while ago, because one of the concerns that I had when I was starting this company is that AI would feel impersonal. And you said something which is like BrokerBot is handling things for my agents. And I'm sure at some level you had that concern of, does AI feel impersonal? So how do you manage that? Like, have you actually put it at the front of the intake process everywhere, or is it a dual path where the member is choosing to go AI versus human? Like, how did you handle that implementation?
So right now there's a dual path. So they can do, live interaction or AI. What's really awesome is that more times than not, it's also very driven by demographic, right? So our agents who are not very tech friendly, they're going to always opt for a live person. We want to have that available to them. But we have a huge population of agents who are like, I'm too busy to get on a call and talk this through with any of you. let me just quickly send a text message. Let me just jump on the website and get the question myself. And they want a self-service option. And now we can do both. I do see a future where we're going to start with AI first. And it would be great to get there by the first of the year. You start with that presentation and it feels very organic. It doesn't feel impersonal. Like sometimes you can easily identify when you're utilizing ChatGPT. There's key markers, but when you're utilizing BrokerBot, those markers aren't there. You feel like you're having a conversation. And it's
Yeah.
it's smart enough to know when you're struggling and it knows that it doesn't know what you're talking about, that it'll go, hey, stop, let me get you a live person. It
Yeah.
is really good at interpreting the next step.
Well, and that's because that's on you though, because you gave us really good instructions on how you wanted it to act. And so we do these interviews as we onboard, and you all are seeing Lisa in real time and the way that she is. And we try to synthesize that into system instructions so that the AI assistant for her company, like, kind of feels like it fits in the culture. And I think that's what you're validating, is that we did a decent job at making it fit. And we do escalate, right? So somebody could be chatting and say, like, hey, this ain't working, get me a human, and we alert your team. And I don't know how many times that happened. I should have pulled that, but I didn't pull that. But it is interesting to me that you're running dual paths. So that's 2,000 conversations where the member had a choice between talking to somebody and talking to a robot, and they chose robot.
Yes.
Um, and I think that's important because I think our job as real estate salespeople, association executives, is to be more human. And as AI takes on more of the busy work, it should free up more time for us to be with our people. And I think that's pretty cool though, that like your people have time back. I'll bet you like your SLAs and your response times improved on the calls they are getting.
100%.
Uh, and that's there's
100%.
just so many cool unintended consequences I'm
Yes.
learning about this, that like I'm going to redo my whole marketing flyer based on everything I'm learning.
I had a vision coming into this, what it was going to do. And I think it's nailed everything I wanted. I wanted to not only support my members, but I wanted to have a backbone to my staff. I wanted my
Yeah.
staff that no matter from your first day to 7 years in, you could answer a question, you could be guided through the process, and you can speak to our members from a place of knowledge and not hesitation. And so I saw a lot of new hires coming in and there was so much hesitation. I don't want to give the wrong information. I don't want them to get upset if I do. It's like now we've eliminated that and there's confidence amongst my staff. But it also has allowed for us to not necessarily need a huge staff to do it. AI is not scary to me. I've embraced it. My staff has embraced it. It's not that they're like all losing their jobs tomorrow, but it's also made it where we invest strategically in where we want to go. And I think that we have a lot of really great things coming.
Yeah, I love that. Well, speed of the leader, speed of the pack, right? Like your people are following your lead, so it's no surprise that you're having success. Um, let's shift gears and just get real for a minute. Like, what's been hard about this? If there's another association executive that's thinking, hey, this sounds really good, like, where are they going to walk face first into a 2x4?
So I would say it's different for me because I'm always a person who's like on to the next big thing, right? So I think there's two things that someone needs to be really thoughtful of is coming into the implementation process with your team, having a vision of how they want to serve their members and how this is supposed to help their staff. I knew immediately I wanted to remedy that new hires were going to struggle and not be able to find a resource. And I wanted to make sure that we were going to provide consistency in our answers no matter what, and we do it. Um, and I was really thoughtful into this process of like, yeah, there's going to be some hard days and we're going to have to be on top of it. And your team is incredibly responsive. So it made my team have to be like, yeah, let me get on top of it. And we had to think through scenarios that we didn't anticipate. And I think that's why the system feels incredibly authentic to us because we actually constantly got back into our little fishbowl and was like, okay, so how would our members feel about this response? And
Yeah.
how would they want this? And if you escalate, how fast should we respond when it gets escalated if it's coming through BrokerBot? So I think coming into it with a vision, And sometimes I think as association executives, we're sold a vision by companies. Like they're always like, oh, it's going to do this magical thing. And your members are going to immediately adapt to it. It's like, no, you got to work it. Like, I will be honest with you, we keep BrokerBot, SCWAI, right? We white labeled it. We keep it in front of everyone's face. And
Yeah.
what we also do internally is make sure that we're using it. Like, we
Yeah.
haven't put it down. So if we're not putting it down, it means that our members every day are getting closer and closer to it. So I think there's a commitment and a vision that's needed. And then what's really tough about implementation, it's time. You got to put time aside to actually get it where you want it to be. And I think AI is not perfect. And I think when you are constantly like, I want it to do this, you got to work at it. And I think we've
Yeah.
worked at it. And I don't think we've even scratched the surface of what it's going to do for us.
I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. I think there's a lot more that we can do. I have two thoughts in my head. One is I want people to understand just like at one level below the surface what we do, because it is special and unique in that what everybody thinks we do is that we train an AI model on how your business works. The the problem with that is when you train a model, that becomes somebody else's thing, right? And so what we've done is we have built a proprietary database for all of the knowledge. It is a digital brain that is Lisa and her team's thing that lives in a secure, deterministic container. It has nothing to do with AI. And we have built a tremendous amount of technology that allows us in real time across phone, email, text, web, et cetera, to look up the actual answer inside of a document to a thing and give that back to a member. And where we actually use AI is for the inference generation to like type on the screen. But the reason that we're able to like be correct is because we don't give a bunch of stuff to the model and rely on it to figure it out. We actually know the correct answer from the database we built around you. We've made this huge investment in being able to index and search it and give it back correctly. And then we just tell the AI what to say and it streams it. And so it's a very different implementation than anybody else has done in this space. And we're able to do it in a way where there's no model training, no data retention, and everything that you all have fed us is secure and yours. And I think that's an important thing with the amount of private and non-public information that you all deal with. Um, what else? I had a second thought, but I talked so much I forgot my second thought.
Happens to me.
Um, what else has been hard? Have you got like it hasn't all been perfect, and I think that we should
Mhm.
help people understand that. What you told me earlier is when you were trying to do this on your own, you had issues, which was like it was using other MLSs, it was referencing the wrong things, and you were trying to like prompt your way through cleaning that up so that it would stop doing that. And that's a hard problem because what I just described is like you're still relying on the AI to get it right. Uh, and it's going to get it right some percentage of the time. When you moved to ours, it didn't immediately like always get it right. And so there was a process that you had to go through. And I think one thing you did that was really smart, which now I'm remembering my second thing, is you brought in Bobby and a handful of your other brokers that are like top brokers, and you kind of brought them into the decision-making process and asked them to like help evaluate. So maybe share a little bit more about your thought process of what you did there.
Yeah. So I love a good test group. I do. I'm a person who's like, hey, can you test this? And my leadership will tell you, I am a voluntold type of CEO. I will voluntold all of them to do things because I want them to, when we sit in a board meeting and your board approves an initiative like this and invest strategically in like, here's the future and this is where we need to be. I want them to touch it. So Bobby, at the time, she was actually, well, she is still currently our MLS past president. And what's so amazing is that she's an independent broker. And when I talked to her about BrokerBot, she was in Inman with me. And she was like, I kind of get the vision of it, but I'm not sure. And I was like, basically, your admins will no longer need to like call you and text you in the middle of the night because they can't figure something out. And she's like, huh. So I brought in a group, I think it started with six, who was able to actually test the system in real time. And Bobby was really the standout of that group. And she fell in love with it. and now she's getting time back. Her office is running more efficiently. I actually say she's like the poster child. Like I was the one who was like, we got to do it. And then she's running with it. And I think it all starts with I'm always wanting my leadership to be a part of the process. I want them to touch the product. I want them to understand it. I want them to sit at the table and go, this is absolutely what someone would need. So to see a broker owner who's independent, who's like, this has added value, and then she also sees how much value it adds to the association MLS, it's like, it doesn't get any better. So I think there's wins on both sides, but I am a person who believes you got to have a good test group. You got to bring everybody to the table to really not only buy into the vision, but to actually understand what the vision can do for us. And I say this, and I know it sounds so cliche. It's like we haven't scratched the surface. Like we're not even 90 days in, and I know it's sky's the limit. Like we are going to dive into this marketing piece later. I'll probably send you like a text
Yeah,
later, but it always easy? No. One of the frustrations we always deal with is brokerbot. You put a question in and it takes its time, and it's like, give it to me right now. We're so impatient. But what I've learned and what I appreciate now is that it's actually taking its time to get you the right answer and not a quick answer. And that's the difference. Like when we put a question into Chat GPT, it gives you a quick answer. It's most likely maybe wrong, right? It could be pulling from different sources. You have to check, like, where did you get that source from? Give me that website. Oh, sorry, I made it up. But with BrokerBot, it's like, no, here's an actual live source. Here's where I cited it from. Here's the page number. Here's where you can reference it. That is worth the wait. So if anyone does go forward, it's like expect that there's going to be a wait because you want quality. You want a quality answer that you can say, I can hang my hat on it.
yeah. And when we were talking about this earlier, uh, I told you like speed is one of our top three priorities. Like, how can we keep making the thing faster? And once we built the new computer agent, and I'm sure you've messed with that in the back end. Once we move the chat widget and everything onto that computer agent, it is quite a bit faster. So it'll be helpful. But our like internal ethos on this is correct is far more important than fast. And so if I have to trade, and I want to like clarify when we talk about speed, we measure speed in milliseconds. And so when chat and perplexity are answering, they're generally answering in under 150 or like 1.5 seconds. I don't know. I can't do
Yes.
milliseconds in my brain. Our general answer time to first token is about 3.5 seconds. So it's 3 times longer, but it's still measured in seconds. But to a user, that experience matters, right? And so we're going to continue to sharpen that part of our business and get faster. But it is a very clear business decision we've made of we will never trade speed for accuracy. And if that means I have to go tell the member, give me just a second while I look this up, and actually go pop a live browser and look at your website and get the right answer and bring it back to them. Yeah, that may take 30 seconds or 40 seconds, but I think that investment is worthwhile, and we will continue to improve and be able to do that faster and cache and index and do all the things we do. But if if that is the biggest complaint, is like we want it to be faster.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I think we're doing okay, but we will continue to improve. We're at 11:44, so if the folks watching have questions, this would be a great time to chime in. Um, what do you wish we did that we don't do, or like what do you like? Where do you go from here with this investment in technology?
You know what? I think that a few things. Where do we want to go with BrokerBot? I think sky's the limit. Like one, to see that you guys already have this marketing capability, it's like, wow. Now I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, where can we take this else, right? Like, how do we embed this even further into our work? And then the other part that we haven't got into is really making sure that all of my staff have it connected to their Gmails and it's helping them manage their day, or like these alerts that pop up that says, hey, did you know that you forgot to respond to this email? We still haven't tapped into that. And so I'm
Yeah.
excited for when we get there, because I think one of the biggest challenge in associations and MLSs is time management, right? And it's a no matter what business model you're in, it's like you always feel like you don't have enough time. And so I think that is going to be one of the biggest things we're going to get to this year, and making sure that my team gets their time back. And then I also want to really make sure that my members, I have so many, 60% of our audience is independent broker owners. I definitely want them to tap into BrokerBot. I see the success that Bobby's had and continues to have and thrives. And I'm like, every single person should be thriving this way. And she's living proof that, like, yes, this works, and
Yeah.
it works
Yeah.
very well. So we're going to be really intentional with our outreach between now and Q1 of 2027 to make sure that our brokers know, like, this is a resource for you. And not
Yeah.
only do we believe in the resource, we use it every day. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so sky's the limit, and we're not going to stop innovating in our space. I think that associations are going to have to meet their members where they are. We want to be Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. That is great. But our members are not Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And until our associations and MLS meet our members where they are with a tool like this, we're behind. And I'm proud to be the first association MLS in Wisconsin that has rolled this out. And I think it just also speaks really loudly that, there's change happening and we got to meet the
Yeah.
moment.
I love it. I love it. You are leading the workforce transformation,
Yes.
um, and it's so much more than I would have expected, and that's why I love doing these webinars because I learn how people use it. And we're a startup. I'm a very hands-on CEO. Like I'm all up in the business of the support team, looking at tickets. I'll drop into their meetings. And most of the time, like, and you, Lisa, you know this, when you're the CEO, that means that most of your day is dealing with problems. And like the only problems you get are the ones that somebody else couldn't solve, which are the ones that suck the most. So, like, after our prep call earlier, I turned to Jamie that sits next to me. I was like, it's so strange, but kind of awesome to hear how much of an impact our product makes for people
Yeah.
because I'm just used to like, hey, why is this thing slow or why isn't this working? And like that's what we deal in all day. And we forget that thousands of people a day are having great experiences and doing things. And we focus on the like 3 to 5 that reach out to us looking for help with something. And how can we improve? So I appreciate you for that.
Yeah.
One thing I want to make sure we touch on specifically for this audience is I know that for um, associations in general, and actually, I'm going to take a step back to come to this for a second. So, our company is part of the 2026 REACH program. So, we work really closely with NAR, which has been a lot of fun for us. I've learned a lot about the value that associations provide that I didn't know it. I've been a broker for 25 years. Um, and NAR was kind enough to give our company and me an award for being the innovator of the year for 2026. And now we've got an
Nice.
opportunity to um, kind of be thought leaders in this space. And we're taking this compliance first approach. And so hopefully I don't fully let the cat out of the bag too much, but we're going to be publishing a guide on the Realtor Store on implementing AI in real estate for agents, brokers, and maybe we should even do one for associations. And you
Yeah.
can help us co-author it. Um,
Awesome.
that kind of takes people through like the security risks and all those things. And I was just in the Carolinas doing a workshop with Bree Bender at the Carolina Coastal Association, where we help brokers like build their AI teammates and do these things. And I think part of your vision is that you want to help them do that, and you want to help your brokers have a better offering and like lead this technological change. And the benefit of that is we've been able to come to an agreement to where we can do that in a way that's going to help you create some non-dues revenue. And I'm I think there's a really cool playbook that you and I are kind of actively figuring out together of how do we help reinforce the value proposition of the association? How do we drive more value for members? How do we help them run a better business? And how do we also create some revenue for the association? It- Can you share more about that? Like how do you think about that? How would you tell other association leaders to think about that?
I think it's on every single association executive and MLS's mind, right? We're aware that NAR has published that we should anticipate membership decline. And one thing that we have heard as a buzzword is what's our value proposition? So I think every association is being challenged with the size you are today may not be the size you are tomorrow. And you're going to have to earn every member, right? And I always say it's like we're going to have to knock on every door and make sure every single person feels valued and seen and heard, even the ones that sometimes don't want to be seen and heard from. We're going to have to do it. And I think what we have to also realize is that we are an organization that's been incredibly dependent on membership dues. We can't continue to depend on that, right? It's not that we're going somewhere or our members don't value what we provide, but we're going to be all smaller associations eventually. Our models are going to change. And I think it's important for us to create avenues where revenue isn't dependent on someone being a member. And I think it's on everyone's top of mind. How do we do it? What partnerships do we do it with? And are we doing it in a thoughtful way? So I think it's awesome that you guys will be introducing something in that field because it's on all of our minds.
Well, and so here's what we're experiencing real time, right? We're building two or three of these, and our biggest one is like over 50,000 members that we're building for. And so y'all are going to hear more and more of this in the association executive space. What I'm beginning to understand as a broker is that my MLS and associations role for a long time was helping the industry work better together, right? What I'm now getting my head around is that the association's job is to help me as a broker or agent run a better business in a more compliant way and like lead me forward. That association provides me a tremendous number of benefits that I'm just unaware of because I'm a busy human doing my job. What we do is we've now built SCW AI, right? And SCW AI has a full breadth of knowledge on every member benefit and resource that you all offer to your associates. So now what we have built around that via BrokerBot is the ability for your brokers to build a brokerage level assistant, and we can make those two things talk. And so how cool will it be when Raskow goes out to the brokers and says, hey, by the way, all of our state rules, our regulations, our MLS rules, all the value prop that we deliver is already inside of this assistant. And if you want to build your assistant, we've done a partnership with BrokerBot where you do it at a discount. It's already been pre-trained on all these things. You can build on top of it. It's going to have all these great resources for your agents. And it's going to help them use more of the member benefits that you've already anteed up for and do the same for the brokers. And I think that's just a really cool like transformation of what the association's role is. Instead of it being like the arbiter of cooperation, the association actually is the like professional organization that is helping me navigate change in an unprecedented time of change.
Yeah, I think the way in which people saw the association in MLS is not the way in which they're going to see us in the future. And I think that's why it starts with partnerships like yours. It starts with us being in front of the innovation, not behind it. And it starts with having bold leadership, right? I'll be honest, a lot of associations who are hesitant, and I appreciate the compliment, like Lisa met me and we were hitting the ground running. That is also powered by a really smart board of directors who are driven by the fact that we need to be ahead of the curve and not behind it. And I would challenge every association executive who's like, hey, my board is hesitant about rolling this out, or we don't think our members will use it because they're not tech friendly. I would challenge all of them to reach out to me and be like, here's how you get over that obstacle. Because it's here and we need to meet this moment. And I worry that so many associations are not going to meet this moment because of just the obstacles that typically happen, right? And so I think I'm an outlier personally because I'm like, I saw it, I was like, that's it, that's it,
Yeah.
and never knew in any way, shape, or form how many hours we would get back, how much it would impact our company culture, how much time I would get back in my work week, my leadership team, the feedback we've gotten from new hires. It's just like never imagined it was
Yeah.
going to take us that far, but it's absolutely worth every investment we've made.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love hearing that. Thanks for saying that. That's really kind. Um, I have a question, and like since nobody else is asking questions, I just get to ask you questions.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm seeing specifically from MLS leaders is they're trying to get their head around how to deploy AI policy around MLS data.
Mm.
And like we're starting to look at well, I shouldn't say starting to look at. We have a lot of broker customers pushing us for MLS feeds because they want to be able to text their AI assistant and say like, "Hey, can you give me the showing instructions on 123 Main Street? I'm in the car." Right, and that seems useful. And most MLSs, at least the few that we've applied for feeds with, are like, "Well, we don't have an AI policy, so will you write one and send it to us?"
Yeah.
Um, and it's really interesting because I'm like, wait, you don't have an AI policy, and yet Zillow and Realtor.com have built ChatGPT native widgets that are feeding your data into public training models. Like, how did that happen without an AI policy? Um, how do you think about that?
I think it's exactly the conversation we've been having. Associations and MLSs have been behind, right? So when we should have been ahead of the curve, I think sometimes it's like it feels good to just keep doing what was okay, right? It feels like, well,
Yeah,
no one's talking about AI, so why do we need a policy? Why do we need a procedure? I think the industry is moving at a pace now where either associations and MLS set the pace or we're going to constantly be behind. And that's why you're meeting a lot of MLSs who are like, I don't have an AI policy. I haven't even thought that far. Or I don't know how that's even being used through Zillow and Realtor.com. And I think that there's a huge learning curve that our
yeah,
industry is going through. And I think for all of my fellow association executives and MLS executives, it's a huge learning curve for us. Like
yeah,
we have to lean into it. I am always
yeah,
surprised when I'm talking to other executives and they're like, I don't use AI in any way, shape, or form in my business or at my, and I'm
yeah,
like, I,
yeah.
I'm flabbergasted. I have no idea how
I
you're not doing it.
Yeah, I almost feel like it would be valuable for us to put on a training that is like what actually happens under the hood with your data. Because
Yeah.
I think like in a very selfish way, whenever anybody sees our domain name that has a .ai at the end, like we're a little bit of the boogeyman. They're like, "Oh, are you going to steal my data and are you going to train on it and do this?" And the reality is the best, like the leading frontier model that's out there today has 1 million character context limit. So if you think about an MLS listing, right, like one MLS listing, that MLS listing probably has some number of hundreds of thousands of characters. So like if I took your entire MLS data feed and I jammed it into a model, I'd probably get about 4 listings in there before it ran out of context. Um, so so it's like kind of much ado about nothing there. But when you start thinking about the number of consumer cycles that could run, that would individually train on listings, et cetera, and that all becomes part of a bigger training set, then the sum of the parts is a big deal. And so maybe we should just write that training and we should like write a template policy together
I'm
and
down.
we can help like I don't know, that's my style. It's like when there's a problem, like let's just solve it and let's be
Let's
thought
fix it right now.
leaders and let's just
Yes.
do it.
Yeah.
uh,
I think it's innovators like you. Congrats to your award and to your entire team
Thanks.
who are innovating in this space. But I'll be honest, you're holding all of our hands. Like I will,
Yeah,
I had a vision of what I wanted, but your team was like, "Let me hold your hand through it." No, Lisa, it actually you turn it on like this, right? Um,
yeah,
so I think you guys are doing such a service for our industry, and I'm excited for where you guys go. Like I'm
yeah,
like watching from the sidelines. Like I remember when. I remember
yeah.
you guys were a booth at Inman, and now you guys are the 2026 Innovators of the Year. I'm like,
That's
yeah,
that's
get in on
funny.
the ground floor. So
That's
I
right.
thank you. Yes.
Well, thank you very much. Uh I've done a few startups and it's always fun to like reminisce. This was my co-founder and I were sitting at a wine bar in New York at that January Inman, thinking like this feels like a really good idea in a business that we should lean into. And we had a functional prototype. And now, a year and a half, I guess it's almost 2 years later, um, there's 36,000 people that use our tool on a regular basis. We process almost 2 billion tokens of inference every day. We are like we went from being this like little company with an idea to where now like the LLM providers are coming to us and saying like, hey, we're thinking about doing a thing in real estate. What do you think about this? And I think we have just scratched the surface, and it's going to be through partnerships with amazing leaders like you that we continue to grow. So For everybody that took the time to hang with us, thank you.
Yeah.
Lisa, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. I owe you at least one like one-on-one training on all this marketing stuff so that we can get your
Okay.
team going. It's 100 in Arizona today, so we should do that in Wisconsin in person.
Yeah.
And if you got value out of this, please like send a shout out to Lisa on social media. Run us down at NAR NXT at the end of the year. We'll be there. And if you're interested in learning more, Lisa, how can people reach out to you?
Yeah. So you guys can reach out to me. I'm Lisa at wisre.com, WISRE.com. So yes.
Sweet. All right. Well, I put your email and my email in the chat. If you want to learn more about BrokerBot, check it out, brokerbot.ai. If you just have general AI questions, always down to chat AI. Lisa, thanks again for your leadership and for sharing some of your time with us today. And I look forward to
Yes.
seeing you again in the near future.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.